Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Crypto Traders Arena. It's Kevin here, and gonna be talking some crypto today for Tuesday afternoon for me. Same thing every Tuesday, actually. I'll be streaming live to YouTube every Tuesday at this time going forward. Just kind of digging into altcoins mostly, or just anything crypto. Nice to see Bitcoin taking off today. So it's always fun when Bitcoin decides to rip $1,000 or so. Hey, everybody. Welcome, Paul and Christian and everybody else in the room. I think I'm streaming on YouTube, so if my audio is bad or something, let me know. But looks like everything's going pretty good. Got Bitcoin up on the screen here. And I mean, I have a long list of altcoins of like stuff people have asked me about and things that I have been watching. I can't really say anything looks like amazing. I mean, if anything, with Bitcoin taking off today, I don't really see that happening in altcoins so much. They're just kind of sitting there, a little bit more green. But one place I do see a little bit more bullishness is in the crypto stocks, actually, especially like the BTC miners and things like Coinbase. And that's what's taken off today, which kind of, that's funny because, well, first of all, like I guess Bitcoin's popping on this grayscale news here. Well, at least that's the story, this is sort of like the after the fact explanation for the pump, but I wouldn't put too much weight into this stuff, but there's always a reason in hindsight. But of course this this is, I don't know, I guess they won their appeal. The SEC had some questionable reasons for denying their ETF, and I guess they won an appeal here. I don't know how important this is. And if anything, like I heard Paul saying earlier today, like usually news driven pumps like this have a tendency to not have much staying power. So if anything, be careful there. We'll see how much staying power this little pop up here today has. But I'll get into the chart in a minute. But I did want to just say, it's kind of funny how timing wise, the stock market took off today too. And the DXY finally kind of rolled over a bit. So it's all timed sort of, just a bullish risk on day for the most part, and Bitcoin has enjoyed that. But I don't know if I've really seen it in altcoins. We'll see here in a minute. But nonetheless, I have a bunch of names we could look at, but I'd be more interested in looking at whatever you guys are interested in. So if anybody has any requests, go ahead and throw them in the chat here. We'll take a look at those, see what we see. And I mean, I think the general story is still, I think it's a little early to, it's like fine to be buying altcoins right now. Definitely they're washed out, but I don't know if we should be expecting like some sort of bull run to just start kicking off right here. I think it's a little early still for that, but I think the same story of just kind of like this whole year is just sort of a bottoming phase. So, I mean, if you're buying down at the lows right now, that's not the worst idea, but I think it's probably a good idea to just remember that you're probably a little early. And if anything, like probably towards the end of the year will be a more opportune buying opportunity. Just, probably a good chance there's going to be prices, like sort of lower prices into the end of the year. But I think I was showing the halving chart last week. And then I was definitely talking about it in one of my streams just to the members on our group. But just, if you're following the kind of halving cycle, the Bitcoin halving cycle, then it would make sense that things would bottom into the end of the year and then start kind of climbing higher sometime like sort of like, next year before May. Maybe I can pull that out in a minute, but David's asking what instrument I play. Actually, I play, I started as a drummer when I was young, and then I got more into guitar. And really, I kind of think of myself as sort of multi-instrument. I like to play drums and bass and guitar and a little bit of piano. And I write songs. And most recently, been really trying to get into like production and just learning how to. I mean, I've always kind of been like a home recording person, but I'm trying to up my game there. That's a little tangent, but so yeah. Is it you, David, that's a piano player? I can't remember. But anyway, that's a side note. Last week was cool though. I was in a huge, it was like a kind of a seminar on music production last week. And it was interesting because it was like the company that was putting it on is very similar to our business model. Of course, they just teach people how to record music, but it's very similar to the same idea of just kind of, online education and kind of building a community of like-minded people. But man, I have to say that, and I think I was saying, I don't know, I do so many of these streams, I can't remember who I was saying this to, but there's an awful lot of similarities between learning to be a recording engineer and learning to be a trader. It's really interesting. I mean, they're both very much about following the process and, well, learning the process and then kind of sticking to a game plan and just trying to build consistency so that you're, not spinning your wheels and chasing rabbit holes. It's hilarious how similar they are. Of course, one you can make endless money, and the other one you'll probably never make any money. So tell me which one's which. Probably better off trading, spending your time trading than recording music. But anyway, geez, I lost my train of thought now. So, I was just, well, I think I was saying, well, I was talking about this sort of bottoming cycle. Yeah, the whole like, altcoins are down on their knees. Probably a little early, and when I was just scanning through altcoins right now, mostly what I see is kind of weak looking OBV, which you guys know I don't like that. And then I see a bunch of weekly W's, well, some weekly W's that didn't really pop off from like a few weeks ago. And I see a lot of things that are just grinding lower. So I don't think there's any sort of like, there's a couple names that are like holding, like things like LPT, which I can get to in a minute, or we've been watching that unfi a lot. Well, people have been trading it on the lower time frames, and then also most of our groups probably long that thing off the weekly W from the spot market and just sort of investment timeline. But other than that, there's not a lot that's like totally like not a lot of weekly W's that are just producing right now. So anyhow, where am I going to start here? I think I'll start with, well, like I was saying, the stock market also is ripping today. And of course, what's a rip in the stock market? It's nothing like a rip in Bitcoin, but and the crypto stocks are also taking off. But I think before I get into that stuff, I'll just start with the general overview, and you can kind of see, even just on the screen, obviously risk on is all 5 of these, and then DXY risk off. And you can see that, all of the risk on markets are producing pretty big green candles today. So this is the story has been kind of, where does the dollar roll over? And you can kind of see it happening now. And it's so hilarious because last night I was like, of course, we've been looking for a top to come in the DXY. I don't know, my red box is kind of out of the, this should actually be right there. I've been talking about where does, well, first of all, I've been kind of thinking that this was going to be a lower high in general. So this whole rally, I was expecting some sort of lower high here. I do think we're kind of still in general downtrend here in the dollar. And now that's being tested, of course. Like we almost tested this most recent high, but not quite actually so far. But we also kind of blasted through the resistance levels. So like, really like around this trend line in the 200 period moving average and 78.6 fib of this current range. Those are all kind of resistance levels. Nice confluence there. And, we did get some traffic there, but ultimately busted through them. And of course, then like 3 days ago, gapped higher. And then 2 days ago, I was like, oh, I'll probably come back and fill that gap. And then maybe we can make a 3-bar fractal. And sure enough, that essentially happened. And then last night, when the DXY opened up here, it was gapped down. And that actually confirmed this fractal. So we actually had a 3-bar fractal here, on the gap down last night. But then I woke up this morning and this thing was a full-on green bar and it was engulfing this candle and it looked like it wanted to rip. So like through the London session, they were pumping the DXY. And then by now, that ended up going back to gapping down and it has now dumped all the way down into the trend line and into 13 EMA support. So whether or not you count this fractal now is sort of, that's a good one. Because like technically, with a fractal, technically a fractal is like 3 bars, like, I don't know, how could I draw this easily? A fractal would typically be like something like this, like, some sort of 3-bar pattern. And then and then the next fourth bar, losing that, ticking through that level right there is the top. So that's like the sell signal. So you technically, we have 1, 2, 3, and then we gapped through it and confirmed it. But now that we've taken out that right side, that's just sort of up to you. I mean, technically your stop would be up at the high if you were like trading a 3-bar fractal. So you'd be trading at something like, like this. So I think, I mean, it's still valid, but it did get tested. That would be like how you would trade it. Stop up here. So I don't know. We broke through the right side of the fractal. I don't know if that invalidates it per se. It doesn't really matter much. I think we can, if anything, you could call this also like an inside bar, because this high here, this candle set up the possibility of the inside bar here. This bar is inside the previous bar, and then we ticked through and confirmed that inside bar. That's another way of looking at it. Very similar to a 3-bar fractal. Either way, I think that's like a medium strength sell signal or something. It's not an M, it's a fractal. Of course, there is kind of an M now in a weird way. It's very wonky looking, but you sort of have a like up, down, up, down. But point being, if anything, this is the first time the dollar has shown any real weakness since this huge rally. We haven't really had too much weakness here. And now perfectly timed with Bitcoin taking off on a news event and the stock market. I don't know if there's really any news for the stock market. This was more just like stock market was kind of coming into a likely pivot, and then the dollar was coming into a likely pivot. And so we'll just see what happens. Like I said, we came just down, the moving averages are still pointing up, and now we're above the 200. So really we came down into this trend line and 13 EMA here, and we'll just see if there's a bounce tomorrow. It wouldn't be a huge surprise. And if this thing's still a bull, then we should expect it to just keep, making higher lows for the moment. But this is the first time it actually rolled over, and that just kind of goes perfectly in line with like, the S&P took off here, which is now a W. The NASDAQ and S&P actually put in a W today. So that's kind of interesting. And of course, this is that pivot that I kind of was hunting for. I did think it would come down and fill this gap. We didn't quite. I was actually expecting this resistance here at the 13 EMA a few days ago to reject like it did, and then also continue down to fill this gap, and maybe even get against the trend line here and the 200 moving average if we really fell over. And I do think that's still kind of a magnet going forward. So we'll just have to see. But at the moment, this is a W. So of course the S&P is just making higher highs and higher lows all through here, and this is now a higher low. So of course, if the bull trend's still intact, we're probably going to take out these highs, maybe go after 88.6, which we never quite hit. And also the actual all-time highs, 48.08. And I have said a lot. I think they're going to go after these highs before this turns into a real bear market in the stock market. I'm just basing that off of just gut feeling, though. It's not, I don't have any, I can't make that call per se. I just think like, why not at least take a stab at the old highs? They've sucked everybody in so far. And a lot of people were super bearish through here, like a lot of like sort of like analysts and smart money, if you want to call them that or whatever. A lot of people weren't expecting this rally. But nonetheless, I think the way to look at this is, I've talked about this gap right here at the FOMC, last FOMC meeting, and I think that's a nice place for shorts. If you are a bear, then like it kind of looks like we might be going after that gap now. And of course, you could draw reload zones off the top and just start hunting. If you are looking to short this, we're getting up into Mountain Man almost already here. 61.8's at 45.25, and we're basically at 4,500 almost. So this is a little bit higher to get up into the reload zone. So like anywhere up in here is reasonable short location. And that's, if you want to, if you're, if you're thinking like range here, which, maybe we're establishing, basically a range from here, so now it's like range, like any sort of range traders would be looking to short up at the top of the range, right, for a move back down into the 200 here, which ultimately I do think we're going to come down and test the 200 at some point just to sort of validate the bull, because we didn't really get that. We like, the bear was through here and we kind of tested the 200 on the bearish side a couple times, finally got through it and W'd out, but never came down and checked it. Usually you'll get, I mean, this kind of counts, but really I would expect to see some sort of test of this to see if this thing's still a bull. And so, we might be carving out a range here. So I could see shorting the highs is all I'm saying. If you're still a bull, then of course, like trend continuation trades would be off the lows here, moving higher. And I don't think a setup truly came in. Like from a daily time frame, I don't know. I don't really like the location here. And, RSI never got oversold. And OBV is trying to turn now, but it hadn't turned as of yet. So just I'd prefer longs off of the 200 to be honest. If I was trying to like day trade, or no, I'm sorry, not day trade, but like position trade this like on a daily chart. So location wasn't super great here, but nonetheless, that's the pivot it looks like for now. Because now at the W, that sort of kills my dead cat bounce that I was thinking was just up into 13 and getting rejected. Now we have a W working, so it looks like we're moving back up to the top of the range. And the same thing for the NASDAQ, really. And I'd take it off that set. Yeah, so the NASDAQ's the exact same. If anything, it is a little bit more volatile in nature and the move's a little bigger. But the W actually, has it actually come in on the futures market here? Yeah, it looks like it just barely ticked through there. 15, 14, 30. And 15, 418. Yeah, so, or wait, what did I say? 15, the high is 430, 50. Yeah, so we did confirm that W. So you can see the same gap. I think that's a sick trade location, to be honest. If anything, like if you're a day trader, as price is getting up into that gap, I could certainly see zooming in and thinking about shorts here as we get up against the highs. Of course, like also FUs against the actual highs. So, but it's the same. Actually, nicer W in OBV now that I notice this. The ES hasn't quite W'd here. But nonetheless, you can see, I mean, now we have W's here. I mean, we had 3-bar fractals back here. This was a good example of a 3-bar fractal kind of holding nicely. This is like an empire, sorry, inverse empire fractal actually with this tail here. And you could see that it's produced a nice call. So I suppose like longs off the 3-bar fractal might have been all right. It just, anyway, I think now probably got to think rangey until, like I could see thinking this range is established here and now shorting the highs is reasonable, reasonable take for now. Although I'll say that I'm not like super hot on, I'm not trying to call tops here. I mean, the NASDAQ does have an M here. ES doesn't actually even have a structural top, but the NASDAQ does have an M. And I should mention we're about up into that M level. So that's like Wyckoff check kind of thing. So I suppose there'll probably be short interest as we get up into this level here, just into that M. What else can I say about stocks? I'm not going to say too much more. I'll just really, I always mention the Russell, and all I'll say here is this is a great example of the 200 moving average support here. It sold off hard right into support, and it has just never even closed below. It almost did 4 days ago, but it couldn't close below that 200. And really, that's also the 50% level of the range. So it's not a unreasonable place to see a bounce. My like ABCD is still valid. It's just not, it hasn't been tagged yet here at the top of the range, but I do think it's likely they'll go after that ABCD. That's like kind of like, just like FU in the range here. And of course, the bigger picture is still just this, like if we can get above the range and start building above there, then I think small cap stocks are going to have their time to run a bit after this like crazy range. Basically just this range has been established for quite a while now. And then moving on to crypto, I suppose. Crypto is a little more exciting. Nice to see Bitcoin take off. And it's funny because like really all we did was maintain support. I've talked over and over again about 25,200 being this neckline of the Head and Shoulders and just this key level here. And like sure enough, we tagged it like a couple weeks ago, tested it again, and just never broke it. So we just really never lost support. So like this was Paul saying don't get bearish into support. Like any late bears here got crushed today. Anybody that was shorting in this consolidation here, they got wrecked. And this is a horrible short location. If anything, that's just that. I mean, you don't want to short support. And there's confluence of support here too. You have the neckline, you have this trend line off the bottom, which is showing itself as very valid right here. And really all that is like, I mean, somebody asked me about the levels, but hopefully you can just see the W here. That's why I use those levels, because there's actually a big W. So that's like why the trend line's drawn there as opposed to off of this low, because I like to draw my trend lines off of confirmed market structure. But you can see how it also was the 200 kind of, it's like supported by the 200 here. And, you know, we just built on top of it, really. I was talking about, you know, a W coming in on this side of the downtrend line is probably the long, and maybe we have that. I don't know. Is this a W? It kind of looks like it, right? It's ugly, but we actually made a W here. I was kind of like postulating that it would come in down here just so we could tick to a new low and create divergences in our side, because now we have the W in our side, but we never actually got divergence because we didn't make lows here. And actually OBV hasn't truly turned yet. So even though we popped up here, I don't know if the bull's back on yet. I think it's too early to say, but we do have a W here. And we did kind of, 200 moving average was resistance, and we got through that. That doesn't mean we might even close today under it. Who knows? But we did kind of just dead cat bounce back up into resistance here. So like maybe like drawing fibs off of this range now, we'll kind of probably see a 38.2 being tested. If you just kind of take your fibs down there, and yeah, you can see how we're sitting right at 38.2 at 27.7 right now. So it's too early to say like like the bull's back. Like I'm not, I think it's a little early. Let's just see what happens. And like I was saying, Paul was saying earlier, if news related pumps have a tendency to lose their staying power. So we'll just see what happens. But like I said, this is all about the risk on market entirely going a little bit green today too. So at least the wins that Bitcoin's back here with the DXY rolling over and stock market pumping. And if anything, I've talked about the 200 period moving average over and over and over and over again, almost annoyingly, but I think it's just a nice, simple way to tell you where you are in the trend, like what's going on with the trend. And the trend was very much tested on the loss of it. And you can see how we're just fighting to get back. So there might just be a battle here for a while. And much like the stock market, if we do go into like a ranging market from the high here down to this 25,000 low, if we're going to bounce around in a range for a while, then this 200 is just going to be tested. It's going to probably go flat a little bit, and it'll just have to play around here trying to decide. And at that point, the more we range right here, the more this uptrend is kind of exhausted, because we never lost the uptrend. We never even made a lower low. This low is higher than that low. So we actually are still technically making higher highs and higher lows. So as long as we stay above this 25.2 level, we're basically still in the uptrend. But the more we range here, the more this is just going to be old trend. And now we have to range for a while to decide what we're going to do. I still think the 35 level is on the table. It would be cool to just see Bitcoin rip up here. If we rip up to 35, which is, essentially 38.2, and that would complete the head and shoulders, getting up here. If we do rip up in there, that might be it for this run, and we'd have to roll back over and kind of create this bigger range, or, just sort of establish this longer range that I think's happening into the halving. Remember I said, like, we'll probably bottom into the end of the year and then kind of grind up into the halving next year in May or so is the event. I think the event's like May or April. So, we'll just see. But I think that 35 is still on the table. I mean, like I said, the uptrend's still intact. And remember I was saying like higher highs and higher lows, and I was kind of targeting the head and shoulders target here at 35. None of that's off the table yet here. It's all just still, still just higher highs and higher lows defines a bull market. Ethereum, not so much though. So anyway, Bitcoin obviously is kind of winning today, but I don't know if crypto is. Ethereum did pump, but the problem with Ethereum is it's deeper into losing its trend, because and these are some drawings that I had on here from, I don't know, earlier in the week or something, but they're kind of very much applying here still. So first off, I think I mentioned this on Sunday's show too, but Ethereum made this massive M, and that broke the uptrend, because unlike Bitcoin, we did make a new low here, even though we never closed below it. So it's like kind of up to you whether you're going to be a stickler on that. In my opinion, the market structure was broken. And you can see the M. I mean, that's a giant M, right? Bitcoin doesn't have a giant M like that. I'm going to delete that just because I don't really need it on there. But yeah, big old M. I also lost the 200 and also lost this trend line, which I don't know if that's the right trend line on Ethereum. I mean, that's certainly a valid trend line in the sense that it's off of market structure. And it also kind of, I liked that it had confluence with the 200 this whole time. But the trend line off the bottom would truly be just this one down here, which we have not tested yet, I don't think. I guess off of that low, which is this ABCD that I think is coming out. So you can see the confluence right there. The ABCD to the downside here is going to hit that trend line, which is also 50% level of the range. So yeah, like it looks like 1630 on Coinbase is 50% level. It's the trend line and it's the ABCD PRZ. So there's three location reasons why we might come down in here. But unlike Bitcoin, like I was saying, the trend's more broken, and we haven't even tested the 200 yet. And like I'd drawn this M here because basically any bounces are shortable. I don't know if I was just kind of postulating that like this is the next short opportunity here because if you're thinking like trend continuation to the downside, then moves up into the 50% level, and the 200 period moving average could produce like ABCDs to the downside. It's too early to call that yet, but either way, as we come up into this 200 and test it, if it shows signs of resistance there, then I wouldn't be surprised to see it roll over and come down to the ABCD. So Ethereum looks a lot weaker than Bitcoin to me. And I think you can say that this uptrend is sort of on pause. And like now we've established this range between these big blue lines that I'd drawn, like I think earlier this week. But I was just talking about this range. Because the question to me, and also with Bitcoin, the question is, does the top of the range come in already? Like, has it already come in? Or is it up at 35K on Bitcoin and 38.2s and stuff? Or did we already roll over to make this bottom into the end of the year kind of price action that I think is going to happen? And Ethereum looks like it kind of already rolled over more. So maybe that's sort of the fate of altcoins here. We're not quite ready, which I think is pretty obvious when you look through the altcoins. No, but either way, I mean, RSI got very much oversold. We got a little W. Now we've popped up into the 50 line of RSI, which is also resistance and momentum. And there's nothing about OBV that's turned here on the daily chart, right? So if anything, we made another M and we're just pointing down. No W's here. So no turn yet in Ethereum, in my opinion, even though we did pop off pretty good. I mean, we're up like, what are we up on the day here? 5.4%. So Bitcoin sees 5%, I think. So stock market's like less than 2, I think, but still a pretty big day for the stock market. So anyway, kind of looks like Bitcoin's winning, right? And altcoins aren't. And even if I just look at Bitcoin dominance, maybe I was, let's see. And I have a question for people about Bitcoin dominance. Maybe somebody can answer this. And I've always wondered this, but does Bitcoin dominance include stable coins? Because that would vastly affect like what this chart tells you, right? If stable coins are included in the dominance, then that sort of skews the data in a way, because it wouldn't be this sort of Bitcoin versus altcoins. It would be like Bitcoin versus altcoins and versus people that are in cash. So I don't know. That's just something I always wondered. I was thinking about that again today. I'm too lazy to go research it, I guess, myself, how they calculate. It seems best, like it would be better to calculate the stables out of this calculation so that they're not, they're just considered US dollar and not part of crypto, but if you look at coin market cap, obviously it includes stable coins in the top market cap coins. So anyway, just a thought. Maybe somebody knows the answer to that, or maybe somebody wants to go and research that. But I think like it's funny when I pulled this up. I don't look at this a lot, but way back we've been talking about 38.2 getting tagged and rejected. So that's classic 38.2 rejection, which is sort of what I was looking for in Bitcoin. That would be 35,000 Bitcoin running up into 38.2 and getting knocked back down into the range and establishing a range below 38.2. This already did it, and it even like kind of put this weird little M in here. But really, I think the most important thing is, we were talking about like summer rallies as Bitcoin dominance kind of came down here, and I don't know if we really got a summer rally. Didn't really seem like it. Some stuff was kind of moving, but I don't know if we could call that really. There wasn't like a mini altcoin season or anything. But Bitcoin dominance did drag down. But we had talked about testing the top of the range, and at this point, it looks like it got pretty close. And now we're popping today, so it looks like that's the test of the top of the range. So I suppose like if Bitcoin keeps grinding higher here, maybe it breaks through 38.2 in dominance, and that's going to kill altcoins even more. So we kind of want this thing to range. We want it to come back into the range to give altcoins some breathing room, I think. So this is just kind of showing the uppiness today. Is this sort of, I really don't see it in altcoins. I don't see too much bullishness. So maybe looking at ETH, like other ways of judging crypto or Bitcoin versus altcoins is I like ETH, like Ethereum versus BTC is a pretty good one. And it's funny how like it's just been doing nothing for a while here. I mean, I guess we'd talked about these ABCDs. This is kind of a weird ABCD because it was all the way back up against the highs here. So I don't know how valid that is really. But it looks generally bearish. So also kind of looks like, Bitcoin's going to have its time to shine right here. Looks like we're just making M's, right? Haven't lost in the recent low here, but doesn't look great. Yeah, Paul's saying we had a canceled summer rally. Yeah, pretty much. It just didn't really happen. I think that does. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just repeating myself too much, but I think like the best way to look at this, kind of like using dominance, or you could use anything, but just in general, kind of thinking of like how like a cycle bottom works. Well, I'll finish my thought here. This looks, doesn't look like it's going to rip up, right? So it just kind of looks like we're coming back into 38.2 again, and we might even start losing it, and that's going to sort of let Bitcoin take all the fun. But going back to like Bitcoin, maybe like a fresh chart even. I don't know if I have anything drawn on Bitstamp. Oh, I already have drawn what I was going to draw. I think the best, I mean, typically you'd expect a 38.2 tag, but I think the best thing to think about is just this sort of, if you're trying to just keep yourself from going crazy and thinking about the future bull run, it's like, we're probably going to establish a range somewhere below 38.2 here. I don't think we're going to rip above 38.2 straight up here. Now, of course, I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm just, in general, I think it's healthy to think about it like this and think about this area here as your buying opportunity. Whether you're trying to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, or whatever, I think that's going to be here. Like, even if I don't know, I'm not trying to call this exactly, but see how like the bottom starts coming in like towards the end of the year. And then the halving event is like, let's see, like, I mean, my drawing's a little skewed because the halving would be here, but that's still okay. Like, because we're probably going to kind of run up into the halving. Like, I think I could just pull that. Let's see. This is my halving chart. And go draw this yourself just to sort of like show yourself how this has worked. Of course, there's a lot of weird lines in here, but just paying attention to the yellow verticals or the halving lines, you can kind of see how we like, usually the bottom comes in before, like some period before. In this case, like it's about 19 months, 18 months, and 18 months so far. If this is the bottom, then we basically, have bottomed 18 months before the halving, the last two cycles, and 13 months before in the first cycle. And so, and you can see how usually what happens is we sort of bottom and kind of grind up, and there's often a little bit of a couple down months into it, and then we rip after it. Like here we kind of moved down into it, but we were generally in an uptrend already, and then we took off. And then here we sort of, I mean, COVID was a little different. We kind of, we dumped right before it, but we still had like a down month the month of it, and we just sort of, but we were in an uptrend already is my only point. So if that's true now, then like that's kind of what I'm saying here. This is that range. So we'd actually, however we dip here, somewhere in here, we're probably going to kind of W out and move into that event here in April. So the buying window's coming up is kind of what I'm thinking. That makes sense because we had a pretty good altcoin rally first part of the year. We bottomed into the year. This the bottom was actually in November, which was actually 17 months to the halving. Well, the halving is not a fixed date. Wherever it's going to come in right around here somewhere. So yeah, anyway, this range, so buying opportunities coming is kind of like the slow, just like take it slow here. This is not even looking at this monthly chart. We're actually putting in like a 3 bar fractal top here. It's almost the end of the month. Yeah, there's like 2 days left in the month, right? So like, wow, that's actually, so if we just close right here and then tick through in September, that's actually a 3 bar top. And so, then you could see I already have fibs drawn here. We got a, 38.2s at 23. 50% levels like 21, 7, somewhere in reload zones are, down here at 21.5 and below. So it's like somewhere in here is going to be the next bottom, I would say. So just kind of go slow here, I think. Just take it easy and don't blow all your money. Don't like waste all your dry powder. If that makes sense. I mean, just looking at this right here, that doesn't look super bullish, right? Even we had a super bullish day today, but like on a monthly chart, that's kind of like doesn't look, it is still higher highs and higher lows, like I've been saying, but it's also kind of like a potential topping pattern here. So just keep that in mind, and that kind of reflects in altcoins. If you just look at I don't know, I don't have time to go through all the. I mean, I literally have like maybe 25 on a list here just sitting in front of me. They're just ones that I marked as interesting as I kind of scrolled through these. But maybe before that, I kind of want to talk about a couple stocks, like crypto stocks, because like clearly you can see the green on crypto stocks here. Like, I mean, well, that one's kind of a warrant. That's pretty big, but there are some that are up like 20%. Like Riot's up 17% on the day. I mean, these are miners right here, all up 16% plus. Hut, CLSK, Riot. I think I saw Mara's right here. I don't really have this list. I was gonna like separate it out all by sector, and then I just never did. But Mara's right here, 28% on the day. So a much bigger move here than in Bitcoin. Of course, that's very dead cat bounce looking and like didn't quite Wyckoff check the W. There is a weekly W here. I was just saying earlier in the week that crypto stocks are starting to look buyable, and then of course they go and rip it before it really comes down into buying windows. I would like to buy Mara. I didn't participate in this rally right here on Mara or on Riot. I did on some like Coinbase and some other like CLSK, but I missed Mara and Riot. I do want to buy these things, and I think like 957 was sort of the most chasing I'd be willing to do here, and really I'd rather wait for reload zones because this thing never really had a true weekly W. I mean, it kind of had this sort of steep weekly W. And I guess that is 61.8 right there at the level. So that's like my 957 is like where I'd consider buying this thing. But I'd prefer to buy it lower. But nonetheless, big move today. Of course, this is a weekly chart. Let me go to the daily. Sorry. Um, pretty big pop here today. But this is like V top. I guess there's an M here, but it's not really. I mean, there's an M there too. So it's not, but it looks kind of V top-ish to me. So any pops up into reload zones wouldn't be a surprise, and probably reasonable short location. Nice volume today though. And OBV is actually starting to turn here, putting a little W. So, but it just seemed like these, it's like the stock market being uppy and Bitcoin being uppy made these super uppy. So like that's Mara, and then Riot looks very similar, but Riot never got anything close to a weekly W. But damn, it had a nice big move off the bottom from 4 up to 20. These things totally outperform Bitcoin. That's why I'm interested in them. I mean, this is a Bitcoin miner, so the better Bitcoin does, the better this thing's going to do. And you can see it went 5x off the more than 5x or something. Actually bottom at 320 and got all the way up to 20. And you can see it just came down into like previous support. Basically, didn't even get to reload zones. So you can't buy these yet, unfortunately. Be nice to see them come off a little bit, but they're getting closer. Like they basically hit Mountain Man almost, not quite. But in general, I think like Coinbase, not a miner obviously, but still one to watch. I think this Head and Shoulders coming in, man, they just totally crushed Coinbase here the last several weeks, and it actually has a little W in here now. So Coinbase also up a lot on the day, like it's up like good 15%. And I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Coinbase was sort of the top of the last cycle, so we didn't really get to see how it would perform against Bitcoin. But I like the miners more because, of course, Coinbase looks like shit from like an FA standpoint, if I remember correctly. Just let's look at it really quick. But I don't think like if it was like any run of the mill stock, I probably wouldn't be too interested. Yeah, mostly because they have 234 million shares out, which I don't like. They have over zero point 0.5 debt, which I don't like. Uh, their price to cash is 3.8, which is way higher than I'd like. I'd like to see that under 2. So I don't really love Coinbase as like a typical value name or something. It's definitely not like a value name. But it is Coinbase and it's going to run with crypto, and of course like they're very well established in crypto, so it says the insider transactions are positive because these dudes unloaded. I wonder nobody's buying. Look at this. This is a whole other fun thing. Look at these guys unloaded, man. I mean, this was later. I guess if you could go, it doesn't go back far enough to, that was, but I mean, basically like the principals unloaded on the IPO and made out like bandits. They probably, they kind of were the victors of the last cycle. They basically dumped on everybody. Doesn't look like they bought much back. I mean, there's Fred Ersham or however you say his name. He was buying back a little bit at $60 in May of, I guess, last year or May of this year. A lot of red here, a lot of sellers. Look at Brian Armstrong's just been selling, but these are lower prices. I mean, he was selling at the top during the IPO. That was like their first chance to truly exit, so they dumped on everybody. But my point is like, so we don't know how this is going to perform against Bitcoin going forward. But yeah, they were selling up here, 350. And now even here, I got a double on Coinbase off the lows here. And now even at 80, it's still quite a bit down from the top. But really the point I was just trying to make is this head and shoulders seems to tell the same story as the halvening and the sort of end of the year bottom. It looks like there's a head and shoulders coming in here, and this right shoulder is the next buy opportunity into the end of the year. So the same thing. So even though we're popping today, and maybe we have to come back up against the top of the range again, I do think there's I'm sort of looking for this down the road. And who knows, maybe it has to come in here. I mean, there's nothing to say that this isn't the right shoulder. I just think that's a little early. And if you draw like fibs off the bottom here, then you can see Mountain Man 63 and below. So, I like to, I'm long from originally 46. See, I bought this, I think I bought, let's see. Well, that's 73. This W? See, I'm on a week daily chart here. Where did I buy Coinbase? I know, because I didn't get a double here. Where do I have that drawn here? Maybe it's on my other chart. I can't remember specifically. Oops. I guess I don't have it drawn here. I remember I went underwater for a while, so I feel like I was buying in there, but that's not 46. Anyway, I'll have to pull that chart up. Anyhow, sorry. End of the story on the crypto stocks. Anyhow, I mean, they all kind of look the same, like CLSK. They're not really buyable. They kind of didn't get lower, but they were starting to. So it kind of sucks. I'd actually rather see these things grind down here a little lower, but they look strong. Sort of the point I was going to make is they look stronger than altcoins right now today. Like you see all these double-digit percentages, and keep in mind a stock going double digits is that's a little more impactful than, of course, like crypto. I was always doing that kind of shit. Let's maybe pick out a couple crypto names to look at, and if you guys have any I mean, I'm not seeing any requests thrown in the YouTube chat here. There's not that many people watching at the moment. And it looks like the people watching probably they're not really new. But if anybody wants to look at anything in particular, let me see if there's anything in the requests really quick too. Not so much, but I do have like some requests here written down that people would ask me about, but I'll pick some stronger ones first. See if I'll I mean, of course, I've been talking. I don't want to talk about some of these I've talked about too much already. So like, Like this Unfi looks one of the stronger ones to me. There's just not a lot that look like this. Is all the only point I'm going to really get into. This is a nice weekly W with OBV divergence. I mean, I was talking about this right here too. So anybody that was listening and wanted to get a fill did have their opportunity. The same time I got filled in this week here. And I didn't even get that snipery of a fill or anything. I just hit the W level here. Could have bought lower if I would have drawn like reload zones. Off of that, just, I suppose the snipers would have been, drawn a reload zone here and like hitting, Mountain Man. Didn't hit 78.6, I guess. But nonetheless, I just took that level at 370. So I might bang a double out here. Let's see. My double level is going to be 740-ish. So like up here. So hopefully they can run this thing up. But this is an example of one that looks strong. Whereas like, I don't know, like I was shitting on Algo weeks and weeks ago. It made me think about it because I remember shitting all over Algo a while back. And I was just saying like, this is what, like, I remember specifically, it was like somewhere back here, but somebody was asking about it and we were kind of talking about what a bottom looks like. And you can see how the moving averages never crossed here bullish. And we never got a weekly W. And OBV did try to kind of bottom through here, but then just M'd out. And like, look at it now. It's just actually it's actually sitting at its all-time low. So like this would be one that definitely is not participating in any sort of rallying. And like, it's actually pretty buyable right here if you love Algo. I mean, if you love this coin and you have like, I don't know, FA reasons or reasons you want to own it, you're certainly not like chasing here at the all-time lows. But I will say OBV is just M'ing out and pointing down. So very big difference between like Unfi and Algo. And so it's kind of like a mixed bag. It's like you can see on my screen here, just these names that are in this list, there's a couple. Rune is up double digits. This Fox looks really interesting actually, but those are the only two up double digits in here. Well, there's Zen. Actually, that was another one that I was going to talk about today as a strong looking one. But you can see how they're green, but it's not like, the stocks are a little more green. But yeah, let's look at some of those ones. Those are some of the strength. Like Zen was, Zen's an old favorite of mine. I like Zen. And I don't think you can really say it has a weekly W, but you can see it starting to come in. And you see, I bought this W originally, and it took off, and it didn't produce doubles. And then now we've rolled over here. So this pretty classic example of like, take your first shot. You can see I had W's in OBV and even divergence in OBV here through there. And then, bought the W, didn't get it double off. And now we're just kind of trying to set up again. But this one looks pretty good to me. It's cheap right here. So it is up like 12% on the day. This is a weekly chart here, but you can kind of see the W trying to come in, and OBV is actually even trying to W out here. It's not really divergence. It would have been cool to see a divergence come in from the lows here. This move to a new low, but we did not in OBV. We just kind of continued lower and made an M actually. So if anything, there's no no buy signal yet. It'd be nice to see this, this level taken out to make the W. And then, that will probably coincide with this wider W being made. And I think, again, going back to being conservative and stuff, there's nothing wrong with letting this thing break out through that 1022 level and then trying to buy a pullback afterwards. I think that's like the conservative approach. Me, I like Zen, and I do kind of want to just like almost like dollar cost average it. I'm okay with just sort of nibbling down here. This is an inside bar, that weekly inside bar that has now fired. And it's sort of fractally looking, but no W or anything, and no OBV buy signal yet. But it just kind of looks like it's ready to go. And actually, funny enough, because Grayscale, so the news is Grayscale winning their appeal. This is a very much backed by Grayscale names, and because they actually have one of their OTC ETF, they have, or their trusts, or whatever they call it. Like there's a Zen trust, and so they're pretty big holders of Zen. Grayscale, and it's like 21 million coins out because it's sort of copied Bitcoin, and I don't know, it's just a name that I've been trading ever since I got into crypto pretty much, because it came out in 2017 as it was like spun off a Zcash, I guess, is it? Um, anyway, I like that one, but to be fair, like again with my moving average, it's kind of like algo. The trend's still down. It hasn't crossed yet, and there's no weekly W yet. So you are sort of just taking shots against the lows here with no real confirmation. But some other weekly W's. Well, I mean, I've talked a lot about them already, so I don't want to waste tons of time on them. But like, BNT has a nice weekly W that's working and holding, even though OBV's broken down here. I don't love that, but this W's holding, and it's just sitting right at the breakout level. And what was the one that I? Oh, LPT. This one looks kind of like the strongest to me of a lot of these. It's not really buyable. They did give one sort of, they didn't quite bring it down to the W here. That looks strong to me. So whereas like most of crypto looks like shit, this thing looks like it wants to go. You can see the W and OBV down here, which is also in divergence, like going back to there. There was nice W action through here, making divergence as we were kind of grinding new lows. So this one I think is super buyable if you can get filled. I'm not talking about buying it right here. I'm talking about buying it below 540, 543, I guess here. That's the W breakout, or that's Mountain Man, sorry. So 61.8 fib. So I like that. I am long from 506, which was just this W breakout. As it broke out, I just went and bought it. And what would be, I remember like I was talking about DAG weeks and weeks ago, and I noticed today that it still is holding its little W here. But barely. But now we have W's and OBV, and this is that's like a weekly W. It'd be nicer to see this wider one come in, like just have it just totally come in like this would be like ideal, and then buy the pullback. But it is what it is. You're definitely buying against the recent lows here. And I remember saying, if it loses the low here, though, there is quite a bit of downside risk just to kind of get in and fill this open air down here. So no rush, but this is one I haven't bought because I don't even know where to buy it. I can't trade on Qcoin anymore, so it's just one that I'm watching now at this point. I couldn't even really see how to buy it on chain because it's its own chain. It's not a ERC20 or anything, so I don't really have a good way to buy it. But I mean, in general, this is sort of the state of crypto right here. Just sort of too early. Remember I was saying too early, just kind of like there is a weekly W here, but it didn't really pop off. And now we just have more time to set this bottom, but this nice rounded bottom coming in is what you want to see, and have it come back down against the previous market structure, which it hasn't quite hit yet, down at 0264 or so. So like, just this is that sort of end of the year bottom that we're looking for. Always best to just wait for a W. I mean, you could look at it two ways: wait for a W or wait for these moving averages to cross. Still no real requests in here. God, not a lot of people in here. Jeez. I appreciate the diehards that are in here, but there's not a lot of. I think usually I have more than a few viewers. Am I even streaming? I don't even know. I try to pick a couple good ones. I mean, I've been talking about the same ones a lot lately because there's not that many that are interesting to me. Number one fan is here. Yeah, you're here. My number one fan. What's something I haven't talked about a lot yet? Maker isn't one that looks strong still, that I haven't been talking about too much recently. I don't know. We could look at it on, I guess Coinbase is fine, but this one has a nice established weekly W here. So it's just a question of, can you get filled on a pullback against the lows? The W's are in on OBV, and we just, actually OBV is kind of like M'ing out through here. So not like a great OBV signal right here. It'd be nice to see this thing as it works its way down to see some divergences coming on OBV, but the base is in, and right now we're sitting at support against the 13 EMA, but I guess I could update my fibs here. It looks like Mountain Man's at 830 So below there, I want to buy this. I like that. Nice base here, and of course we're just against the old lows. I don't know, maybe there's some more history on Maker on like Binance, but not really. Same thing. So yeah, just coming against the lows. But I mean, that's a bottom. Like that algo coin looks like shit. Obviously, this looks like a bottom in process that has it's likely to hold. Like similar to like XLM, that kind of looks the same as XLM, which I did start reloading on at the W level, which was basically Mountain Man right here at like 11.5 cents. Same thing. W's in on OBV. So I like buying this thing anywhere below where it sits right here, basically. It's sitting at 12 right now. Anything below like 11.5 seems reasonable to me, depending on how aggressive you're being. There's another, this one's one that that's strong that I don't have. I think it's this Fox. Yeah, Fox. This one looks interesting to me. Already doubled, I think, probably. Let's see, off the lows, 20 cents up to, yeah, so it already you could have gotten a double out here recently, the last few weeks. The kind of weekly W, I mean, this is I don't know, I don't really like these, but I do think it's still a W, but you can see how the candle bodies here are higher than the candle bodies over here. So like on a line chart, you're not going to get a W. You know, you can see it's just making lower lows through there, but still looks interesting to me. I don't know what it is or what they do, but clearly they launched it here, and then really you could have bought it the following week. I wasn't doing that, unfortunately, because I did have it on my radar on this pop, but then I just kind of dropped the ball here. But nice tags of 78.6 and 88.6 here, and you know, even the next week, this week you could have hit 78.6 again. So I'm a little late here, but and I don't love the W, but it does have OBV divergence that's now confirmed through here, and also just a W in OBV. So everything's here. So you know, it's still in the reload zone technically. I don't think I'm gonna go and chase it right here. Although I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but I'm not like super aggressive here, so I'm not gonna do that. Probably just wait patiently. It'll kind of miss my opportunity here, but we'll see what happens. But definitely like the way this Fox looks. And what's some other newer-ish ones? This TRB, I don't know what this is, but I saw this one. This one looks kind of interesting to me too. I'm just going to turn these moving averages off, but this one has a weekly W here working, and also OBV divergence confirmed. Well, did it confirm last week? Yeah, so last week, well, 2 weeks ago, we got OBV confirmed through this move here, this W. And that's a weekly W. So location's good against the old lows here and against these lows. Damn, that looks really good to me, actually. You know, just I could see, you know, just going and basically taking, you know, sort of more aggressive. You can see this week gave a Wyckoff check already. You could have gotten filled already this week, but I like that 1330 level, and you risk, you know, there's about 50%, almost 50% of risk to the downside, but that's kind of what we look for, right? You could even argue there's like sort of trend line breakout setups. If you were to, you know, I don't know, take a, you know, that trend line, obviously you know, but even that, you start getting the W on the other side of the trend line. You could draw trend lines off the top, and of course we're way past that. So that's a nice like little kind of LJ setup there. Doubles up to like just, you know, God, a double's doesn't look very high, just up to these candle body highs. Well, let's see. It's like a little higher, I guess, $26. So somewhere up into this wick, get your double, which is probably like around the 50% level of here, maybe. Yeah, $26, 50% level. So it's not unreasonable to think that this thing's going to get up there sometime in the next year or so. And then truthfully, like, I mean, you could see the upside from last year or last time around. So, you know, it was $146 in 2021. So holy shit. I mean, that's a 10xer, looks like, back up to the old highs. So that looks damn good, actually. So there's an example of a nice looking one. Maybe I'll show another crappy one. I mean, they're there again. This is, so if I were to like, you know, like I said, I think it's okay to buy down at the bottom of the range, even though we're a little early, probably into the end of the year. This is one that I would be more likely to want. I have no idea if I can actually buy this thing. Let's see, is it on Coinbase? No. Oh yeah, it is. So yeah, this is one that I think I'm gonna go work some bids on actually. See what it is just for the hell of it. Because I'm not familiar with it. Treller. It's got that's 25 million market cap. Could see that 10xing. Wow, it only has 1.7 million coins. Well, the total supply is 2.4 million. Jeez. I don't know. It seems like they could pump that thing pretty good. Oh, I like that one. Cool. I found something that I can buy. So if anything, maybe just this idea alone is worth watching my show here. We'll see in the end of the day. At the end of the day, we'll see what it looks like down the road, but it looks pretty good. So anyhow, I still don't see any requests. So I don't know. I'm getting on an hour here. I don't know. I think this is a solid idea. Maybe it took me an hour to get there, but there's one good one. I kind of like, there are other ones like Maker I like. I just think it's too early because they need to come down lower. Let me see if I can think of one other one that I mean, there's a couple old ones that I was into. Like Mana was one of my best wins last cycle, if not my best actually. Where's a good place to look at it? And I noticed it's starting to get in a place where I want to buy it back. There's no reason to buy it back yet, to be fair, but I mean, this was just an epic run last time. And I definitely like it. I mean, I do still think though it has more down actually. I mean, it could easily come all the way back down here, but that's another, 50% haircut, but you can see it just kind of coming down against the lows. No structure. OBV is still rolling over here, so it's certainly too early, but it's just one that I kind of thought about because nobody ever talks about Mana anymore. I don't know what they're up to. Like, I don't know how Decentraland's going. Maybe it'd be cool to buy some land. I remember last time around I was like shopping for land. I mean, I didn't shop seriously enough, but it was like $500 for the cheapest plot in Decentraland. That was like, probably back in like, well, that was like during COVID. Yeah, so that was like probably back in here it was like $500 for some land. And then up here that shit was like, I don't know. I don't remember the exact. I mean, it was like easy 10xers and stuff. It'd be interesting to see, yeah, like what it costs now. But it'd be fun to buy. I totally missed the NFT. I didn't do anything in NFTs or, that wasn't really my wheelhouse. But it'd be interesting to maybe look into this more. But if anything, you could see the even just this trend line right here will just show you how you're too early. So we're probably want to wait until 13, 14 cents down here and let this trend line get tested. But this was just an epic one from the last run that I was thinking of. And then I also kind of stumbled on Sia Coin again today. This was another one that's been was a fairly good buy back in the day. I think you could say, right? You bought this W here at like 0041 and it ripped. And now we're just back down against the lows. So again, like Mana, the OBV looks a little better than Mana, but it hasn't quite turned. I mean, not even really divergences per se, but you can see it just sort of building this channel. And I don't know what they're doing. I have no idea if this thing's still a working project or not, but it's just one that's been around for a while. Even goes back farther than here, actually, because Binance has it from 2020, but I remember this from 2017. So yeah, like Bittrex, those are like the good old Bittrex days. Poloniex even. So yeah, anyway, that's another old one that I just had on my list that I thought was interesting. And then maybe I'll just, I mean, still nobody's throwing any names in, so I'll just probably call it here in a minute, but try to come up with a couple more. Oh, well, here's a strong one. OXT is another weekly W that I think is relatively viable. I mean, regardless where you look at it here, I mean, this is kind of like Coinbase. I was talking about this probably just, I don't remember when, but this is sort of like also I kind of see these type of bottoms coming a lot. And I was thinking maybe we get that. And of course, with this pop, we didn't quite form a neckline yet, I don't think, but that kind of, something like that I could see that happening here. But just in the short term, it does have a weekly W here. It's just kind of ugly. Weekly W. I was in here buying. I guess I have my chart on Coinbase, but I'd like to go figure out where I bought Coinbase stock to on the chart because I don't have that written up. I remember I bought it right before FTX, actually, now that I think about it, because I bought a daily W on Coin and then, and then FTX blew up and it went to shit. So I bought it last October. Anyway, this one's just kind of, I don't know where you want to call the W breakout level here because this wick, technically it is up here, but I don't love that. So I don't really the situation I mean, technically that's the breakout level, but I think you're better off maybe just picking one of these candle body highs like right there and using that instead. But you can see how they Wyckoff checked it here this week and bounced it. So I like that 56. I mean, you can just draw reload zones here and kind of find that we're basically sitting around a little above 70. We're in the sweet spot right here, right in the middle of the reload zone. So location's good. OBV divergence is in from here and also from back here. There's actually two, all the way from here to there is a divergence, and then also from there to there. And also, if you want to get really picky, well, maybe not so much from there to there, but so this is kind of ugly price action. And yeah, we probably can float around here for a while, but in general, it seems like it's setting a base. So that one looks pretty good to me. Let's see if I could pick. What does Paul say? Oh, land is expensive. You must have been talking about mana, right? All right, maybe I could find one more, and then I think I'll call it a day. I'm about an hour and 6 minutes into this, and I think that's still the takeaway is let's just go slow and just let this, probably gonna, I think my understanding is it's likely interest rates will go up again, and I guess October, is that when the next FOMC is? Sort of what the gist I got from Jackson A-holes is I think Powell basically straight up said, he essentially said inflation has come down a bit, but not nearly anywhere near what they want it to come down, and so it's likely they'll raise rates again. And I think I don't really follow the bond market too much, but I think it's already priced in another 0.25 hike. And I don't know, this is a different environment than the last cycle in the sense that, of course, interest rates were almost zero, and then COVID and, was going on, and there was just free money floating around everywhere, and it's kind of set the stage for more of an epic rally. Right now, I don't think you can argue that that's the same case. And of course, if anything, crypto itself is actually going to be facing a first cycle in a rising interest rate market. So those are all things that are going to probably slow down the bull a bit. Doesn't mean there won't be a bull market. And also that's just kind of where the context thing, because personally, any moves back to the 50% levels is a bull market, or enough of a bull to make money. I mean, even if this thing can even just get back to half where it was, I mean, shit, even 38.2s is 41 cents. So even if this thing can go, from 0.06 to 41, that's enough room to make a lot of money in the next cycle. So it's I'm not calling for new highs per se. It's just kind of it might happen, but we don't need that to happen to make some money. And so it's, maybe we don't see new highs just because of this sort of interest rate kind of insanity or whatever. I don't know if insanity is the right word, but just, rising interest rate market. But we'll see. Also, maybe next year is when they actually start, cutting. Because I think during the Depression, they basically overreached and raised interest rates too fast. And then it broke the market. And so then they also slapped back and lowered them quickly. And that could happen again. Like they kind of overcorrect, I guess is the word I'm trying to use. So maybe there's like um, a period where the rates at least pause or go down, that can sort of fall around the halvening. That'd be like perfect timing, like sort of next year, and then they might go back up after that again, but it might produce enough kind of juice for the market to rally. Of course, I'm not the best person to I'm not saying I understand all the intricacies of that. I just know that that's kind of what happened in the depression, and there was like sort of like a period where interest rates dipped. So maybe something similar like that happens again. But either way, the only real point here is like there's a little bit more downside pressure, I think, on the market right now. I don't think we can expect some super mega rally out of nowhere here. So I think better yet, it's like getting into the end of the year. I suppose there'll probably be some amount of tax loss selling, because I imagine people were buying tops this year. You know, not everybody's in the green. Like anybody that was buying Bitcoin recently could end up underwater pretty heavily into the end of the year. So they might be liquidating and stuff like that. And then of course, you know, we're still kind of waiting on like sort of ETF news and stuff like that. I don't know how big of an impact that'll be, but you know, also like hell, even like SBF, what happens to him? Like maybe that comes into the news again and sort of needs to get resolved before the bull can start again. I don't even know what's going on with that. It's funny how you don't even really hear about it that much. But point being, I just think there's no reason for the bull to just start tomorrow. Like I personally don't think it's just going to turn into a bullish cycle tomorrow. So just going slowly, and you know, like I said earlier, trying to keep your dry powder and not waste all your capital too early. You know, if you can bang out doubles and get your cash back, then that's always a plus. But just go slow is the key. And then there's a few good names. Hopefully I get a double on that UMFI. I mean, there are doubles to be had. I haven't really had any doubles lately in crypto, but did bang out quite a few in the first rally this beginning of the year. So yeah, so I'll just leave it at that, I guess. Thanks guys for showing up. Definitely see some diehards in the chat, but that's about it. But of course, this is always recorded, and I won't get into all the like. Well, you guys know about our Discord room. There's a link in the bottom. Anybody that's new to our channel, you can like and subscribe our YouTube channel, please. And we do these streams. We do a stream on Sunday that actually kind of goes through our exact buying program for one of our investment trading plans that we're just sort of using to kind of walk the public through like a simple altcoin investment plan. So we talk about that on Sundays at 16 UTC, and then Tuesdays I'm just going to be doing this basically and just rambling on about crypto, whatever I'm interested in at the moment. And then we also, Stefan was live scalping all the markets earlier during the London session today. That's every Tuesday on YouTube. He's just basically just showing his process, how he, you know, just scalps on a daily basis. And then of course I think Paul makes he makes a daily plan video every day, well, 5 days a week for the London session, just kind of highlighting levels to look at basically in well, traditional market stuff, but also definitely crypto and Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then also just kind of altcoins using our THG indicator trend following strategy. So he usually will highlight uppy looking crypto names during that time. So if you're looking to swing trade or day trade altcoins, it's only like a 20-minute show. He does a pretty good job of being concise, whereas maybe I don't do that. But yeah, that's always good to tune into just to get a general overview for the levels for the day if you're a day trader. And so that's a lot of content just on YouTube that we do, but also like if you jump in our Discord room, there's quite a bit more going on. And then if you consider being a member, then there's a lot more live trading going on actually every day, and a lot more trade ideas being presented on more of a short-term basis. You know, our group's more focused on like swing and day trading, I would say, in general, trading setups. And then we sort of, it's kind of like, it's always a good idea to have some sort of investment bag plan. I think even if you are primarily a scalper, you see how these things move. I mean, or even those crypto stocks I was showing you, there's, if you want to bang out these 100xers into the next cycle, you kind of have to get in now and just sort of nibble away and be patient. And then you'll have plenty of time to day trade. It's like day trading takes up, if you want to be a day trader, then of course you're going to be spending every day, some amount of time every day doing that. But you can kind of work these investment plans with like a few hours a week. It doesn't take it doesn't take much time. So you're not putting in that much sort of hourly time. Of course, like you have to do the work ahead of time to build your plan and get it all worked out for you so you can go and execute it. But really, like, I mean, even right now, like right before this show, I went through like 100 names and wrote down like 20 that I thought were interesting. And of course, I only had time to talk about maybe 10 or so of them. But I mean, I've been doing this a little while, but like a couple hours a week, I can basically scan the whole market and just kind of get a feel for what's going on and start working bids. And also make sure my sell orders are working, which to be honest, I'm a little bit, I need to get my ass in gear on that. Kind of fell behind after this whole Qcoin, moving off Qcoin sort of screwed me up. And so I got to I'm still sort of not fully caught up with that. But point being, you can do, 4 or 5 hours a week is probably too much. You could probably do it in less. I mean, I know people that only do Sunday night, they'll take wait for the candle close, the weekly close, and then just, spend an hour or two just scanning their entire watch list and make sure their orders are in, and then they go work their other job all week. So might as well, if you're interested in crypto, you might as well at least have some sort of long-term plan going. Doesn't have to be like tons of capital or all your money or anything, but it doesn't hurt to have just a little bit working in the market so that you are ready when the bull comes, because once the bull starts kicking up, it'll be too late. But yeah, daily plan video Monday to Friday, Paul says. And that's around the London session too. And actually we're working on our website too, and really we will at some point have a calendar so we don't really have all that worked out where it's we don't have a exact spot where you can just see everything that we're doing. Best thing is to just join our Discord, and there is a link at the bottom of this video, and you can just pop in the room, and we always post the videos there. And there's actually a channel that just all of our YouTube videos are posted in, whether they're regardless of whether they're for the public or not, because a good chunk of our content isn't on YouTube, or at least not on like general public YouTube. So, and I'll just end with, we are starting our training program in September. We're calling it Capio 1. It's a basically entry-level trading seminar, you could call it, where we're just trying to onboard people into our group and teach them how to trade so they can hopefully become professional traders that work with us for the future. So turns out to be it's a solid 3 months of school and then another month of kind of working directly with Paul and myself to make sure you're up to speed trading. And then it's a whole other 8 months after that of just hanging out in the group, like in our premium side of our group, actually just, refining your craft and working with other professional traders. So it turns out to be a pretty big endeavor, just like learning how to do this doesn't, requires you put the work in. So, but even that, I think we're saying, yeah, probably, minimum 5 hours a week, you're probably going to have to dedicate to the school program. And that's like minimum. Really, it probably should be a little more. So, you would have to have at least 5 hours a week to at least watch our, there'll be a live session. There'll be some recorded videos, and there'll also be some documents that you have to study. And then there's going to be a lot of just practice, because a lot of this is just practicing. And hopefully you can, our goal is just to basically create an environment for you to practice within, where you're not wasting time and you're not going down rabbit holes that are going to send you down the wrong path. And so if you really want to do it, you're going to have to put the time in. But we're going to just sort of help expedite it and make it as seamless as possible for you. So just kind of show you the pitfalls that we learned, or help you avoid them, I should say. So if you're interested in that, also just reach out to us in the Discord room. That starts in September, and we do already have a group of people that are in that. And other than that, I'll just leave it at that for the day, and just wish everybody a good rest of your day on Wednesday or evening or Tuesday. Good rest of your Tuesday. And I know it's getting late for a lot of our group is in Europe, so I'm one of the there's a handful of us Americans, but there's you know, I think we're mostly Europeans and Australians, and so I need to up my game and get some more North American members. So if you are in North America, come hang out with me in the afternoons. And I'll just leave it at that. So see you guys later. Thanks for joining me. And if you're watching this on recording later, then reach out to me if you have any questions or you want me to look at something. And feel free to pop in our room and ask questions. There's not that many people talking crypto right now, so it's a good time to get your questions answered in our free room. And I'll do my best to hit all those. If you have anything that you're curious about, I'm happy to give you my opinion. And I'll just say goodbye. I'm gonna hit my outro video. Of course, there's a little disclaimer here. None of this is financial advice per se. I'm just trying to show you guys my look at this and what I'm up to. And you guys have to make your own buying decisions. And it's your money. I would just, if anything, just be careful and don't take on risks that you can't handle, and keep it conservative would be my recommendation, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So anyhow, I'll just talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your evening, and see you later, Del Moody. I see you in there. And I'll just, I'll see you guys in the meeting tomorrow, and then everybody else on Sunday, I guess. So take care. Bye-bye.